Amanda here. Thank you so much for joining me. So this is tutorial 1 in this really rather unique style of journal. So this is what I call a hybrid journal, and this one has got even more memory keeping extension to it. It's going to be pretty awesome. So we're going to have 2 journal signatures, and we're going to have interaction on the front cover, the back cover, and with this special binding that I'm going to show you how to do, we've got a hinge. So we're also going to have memory keeping interaction in the center between the 2 signatures. Now I'm using my Ocean Spray collection for this particular project. You can use any papers you like, and you're more than welcome to follow along and use this idea for whatever you want to, whatever style you want to create in. So let's get crafting. Some of the video will be sped up because some of it, you know, I've done so many times before. If you want a slowed down version, I will direct you to another video in the description box below that shows that particular process in a slower way. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward, so let's get cracking. Okay, so I'm doing the fabric tape wrapped method. If you've not seen this before, check out the link in the description box below where I do this process in real time. I'm going to give you the sizes of the chipboard in a moment. That red line tape there is 1/4 inch tape. Now that's not going to help us with any adhesion. I'm using that as a guide to make sure that I get 1/4 inch spacing between my covers and my spine. Super important that you have 1/4 inch there, because we're going to be adding some cardstock into those gussets, and if you don't have a minimum of 1/4 inch, then your covers are going to be stiff. So that's what that red tape's is there for. So I've sized my covers slightly different than normal. So my height is 8.5 inches, and my width of the front and back cover is 6 1/4. I normally only do 6, but I'm adding a little bit of extra space this time because I know I'm going to be adding interactive elements. So the spine measures 2.5 by the height of my covers, which is 8.5. Now if you are a letter size user, your spine needs to be the same size, but the height of your covers may differ from mine. Okay, I have a video I will link below as well that shows you the formula for how to size the chipboard for your covers for your paper size, or so that you can make them whatever papers you use. Okay, it's a formula. Okay, and it works, it's faultless, it works every time. But mine are 8.5 by 6 1/4, and my spine is 2.5 inches wide. So the fabric wrapped tape method is faster, it's easier, and it's cheaper. Okay, I get it from AliExpress. If you have a look on there, you might get a Black Friday deal. If you do get a good deal, you know, maybe grab 2. I normally pay up to about £9 to £10 for this. That's the most I'll pay for it. I won't pay any more than that. But if you have a look with the Black Friday deals, you may well get a good deal. So, like I say, if you want to see a slowed down version of this with a full step-by-step explanation, check out the video in the description box below, especially if it's the first time you've ever seen me do this. Most of my followers have seen me do it 100 times, which is why I'm not explaining it here. You could just go and watch the other video and get all of the proper hints and tips, and I've sped this up to make the video under an hour long. Although this particular method, you can make a journal cover once you've got it mastered in about 5 minutes. Okay, so it is very, very easy, and it's well worth a try. It works out cheaper in the long run than wrapping your album or journal covers with cardstock. Far cheaper. Okay, and it is super sturdy. Those spines, those gussets, are going nowhere. They're not going to crack because it's acrylic fabric tape, not cardstock, and that is the main reason that I use it, so that I'm not going to get any split spines. It works every time. I love it. Okay, so for the binding, which is going to go inside the spine and over to the covers. You're going to need a piece of cardstock that measures 5.5 inches. Mine measures 8.25. So whatever height your covers are going to be, just knock off 1/4 inch. So my covers are going to be 8.5 because I'm an A4 size user, and that's what size I size my journals to. If you are new to this and you're not sure how to size your covers for your size of paper or how to get a good size, check out the link in the description box below to one of my journaling basics videos where I tell you the exact formula that I use to size my covers to fit my papers, and I do it for A4 and letter size. I give you the formula so that you can use it whatever size papers you use. So check that video out. So along the 5.5 inch side, if you follow any of my tutorials for making things, when it comes to scoring, especially if I do cutting guides or if I'm doing it verbally, I'll always say along, scoring along such and such a side. So we're scoring along the 5.5 inch. So that tells you that the first measurement I give you needs to be on the top of your scoreboard. And we're going along to find the measurements and then scoring. That's how I was taught to do it, and that's how I always do it. So along the 5.5 inch side, okay, we're scoring at 1 inch. 1.5, this can be a light score. It's only a guideline. 2.25, that needs to be a deep score. 2.75, deep score. 3.25, deep score. 4, light score. Oops. I'm not very good at doing light scores. I don't get it straight if I do it light. And then 4.25 again, and that can be a deep score. Okay. So when I say a deep score or a light score is a guideline. A deep score means it's going to end up either getting folded or burnished into something. So we've got 1 inch, deep score, 1.5, light, 2.25, deep, 3.25, 2.75. Let me do that again. 1 inch, deep score. 1.5 light score, that's a guideline. 2.25 deep score, that's going to get folded. 2.75 deep score, that's going to get folded. 3.25 deep score because it's going to get folded. 4 light score, it's a guide. And 4.5 can be a deep score because that will end up in a gusset. So you're going to think, what is going on here? Let me show you my template. So this is the same as this, okay? So what all of these scores represent, you've got 1 inch either side. Those are the wings that are going to eventually attach to each side of your cover, okay? These scores here next to the wings will go in the gusset between the cover and the spine, in there like that, okay? This first score is going to be where your first signature is going to go, okay? The second 2 half scores, and they're very easily detectable because you've got 2 larger spaces either side, okay? The bigger gaps, these are 1/2 inch, and that's 3/4, I think. Yep. So these, all the others are 1/2 inch, and then them 2 larger ones are 3/4. So they're very easily detectable. So wing, guide for us, and that's where your signatures are going to go. Then you've got the 3/4 inch space, and then these 2 in the middle, very easily detectable, are going to fold together and become a hinge. So you're going to add your tape on the back and make a hinge, okay? And then that score line is where another signature is going to go. That is a guideline for your gusset, and then that will attach. So I am going to locate those 2 middle ones, those 2 middle 1/2 inches. The first one I'm going to fold fully in half. Let me sit down because I'm stood up. I mean business when I'm stood up. Then fold it back on itself and really, really burnish. And then turn it the other way and fold it in on itself. Okay, and really, really burnish. And then you want to open that out on the back, and where you've got them two folds, you need to put some tape. Some good, strong tape. I only ever recommend Scorpal tape. Okay, and we're going to have it more or less in the centre. Okay. Let me get my little trusty tool. Okay. So this is very easy because it's only the one hinge. Okay. And we're going to put into action in the middle of this journal as well as by the covers. Make sure none of that tape's overhanging, and then just fold that whole piece in half. Okay, and give it a really good burnish. Okay, then you can fold it back on itself again that way and again that way, and you've got that hinge. And give that hinge some work backwards and forwards so that you've got nice flexibility on it, and you're giving those fibres some memory. Okay, I am going to edit in a little piece in a moment about paper grain. And now it's really important, and I would take note of that before you cut your piece for this. Right, so that's that done. So now I can attach this into my covers, and along with this guide, I'll pause it here for you so that you can have another look. We're going to put a signature there, a signature there. We're going to have an interactive element there, and then these wings are going to attach. So I will go away now and attach mine to my covers. So I'm just editing this bit in as I was creating mine. I figured it might be important. So as most paper crafters will know, paper has a grain, okay? Which means it will be more flexible one way than the other, okay? And you can tell it really easily, especially with cardstock. And it's really important that your spine is cut on the right length of the paper grain, for want of a better word. So when you bend your card one way, it's nice and curvy and soft and bender, okay? And when you bend it the other way, you'll feel immediate resistance. So that is going against the grain. So I'm going to use a whole sheet of 12 by 12 to explain to you. So that's nice and soft, and that's stiff. So you don't want that stiff part going into your gussets. It's going to, you know, between your covers for your cover hinges. It's going to make your life a little bit easier if you cut this piece of paper with the grain instead of against the grain. So with the grain, with the soft bit, cut that piece to the width that you need, which is 5.5. Okay, 5.5. Okay, getting it all, trying to get it all straight. And then where you're going against the grain, okay, so then do that to the 8.25. Okay. Now you might think, well, it's not going to make any difference. It just will mean that your spine is less, this part is less likely over time to crack, and it's going to be more flexible. Okay, so just do it that way. I don't always worry about going against the grain. You know, when I'm making parts for folios and things like that, I don't always worry about it too much. But in this instance, because it's a vital component of the cover, we want it to last as long as possible. All paper and all card will, you know, it's not going to last 100 years no matter what you do, okay? But we can help it along. So I hope that helps. Okay, so we've done our cover. Okay, it's lovely and flexible, and we're not wasted heaps of cardstock because we've used the fabric tape method. I always use it, well, I sometimes wrap with cardstock, but this is just such a foolproof and easy way. I'm like, why would you do it any different? So I've got my I've got my spine piece here, my binding. Okay, so don't forget the first 1 inch is going to go in these gussets and then over here. So you don't want tape on that bit yet. Okay, so I'm going over to the back here and I'm putting tape. So you've got your score mark there, the first score mark on that side and the first score mark on that side. Don't put tape in there because that's going to go in your gussets. We're going to put glue in there. Okay, but I'm putting tape on the rest of it because it's just going to help me get it down quicker and easier. It's just going to make my life easier. So I'm going to use tape, but I only recommend Score tape. Okay, you can use glue if you want. Absolutely, you can. Okay, so I'm putting tape all on there. I'm using what width I've got. I don't have like all different widths of tape. If you've got a wider tape, use a wider tape because obviously that's more budget friendly, but I've only got the one measurement because it is so expensive to buy is this tape that I just work with what I've got. Then I'm just going to put tape on the very edge of the outside wing. That's just going to help stick that down in place whilst the glue that I'm also going to put on here dries, because I'm doing a bit of both to make sure that it doesn't move. It's going to be holding some weight, a little bit of weight, although, you know, we're going to have some help anchoring it with the eyelets that we're going to set for our signatures. And if you're wondering why I always do the Midori style for my signatures, which is with the eyelets and the elastic, it is because it makes them more versatile. The pages open easier. It's easier to do than sewing them in. And I love the idea when you've got a memory keeping journal of still being able to add full memories in by slipping them under the elastics or moving pages around. Yeah, or if you've made a cover you really like, you can take the whole pages out and put new in. Okay, it's just more versatile. It is my preferred way of doing it. I do sew them in sometimes. And I'm a lazy crafter. Why am I going to do something that's difficult when there's an easy option that, in my opinion, is more versatile? Okay. It's just better for what I want to do. If I decide that my interactive elements are chunky and I need less pages in my journal elements, I can remove them. Or if my interactive elements are a little bit, and my journal's ending up a bit thin, I can add more pages. Right, so what I just want to do is I'm just going to do a tiny mitre on this hinge. So I'm just nipping off the very corner, okay? That's just going to help me slide it in, okay? And hopefully whatever we put in will only go to there, and it'll give us a little bit of a space, because I'm no mini album making expert, but it seems like if you mitre right down to there and have your pages slid on right up to the score mark, then it makes your pages a bit stiff. So we're going to only let our pages go as far as that mitre will go, okay? That's the theory. And I'll put skinny 1/4 inch tape on. That's the thing. In fact, I might just do that now. No, yeah, I'll do that now. And I am using red line tape, which is very strong, because I don't have the Score tape in a skinny. Is the only reason why. So this here, I should have done it before I cut them. Right up to the edge. Oh, well, just slightly away from the edge. Okay. And then your pages, you know, that's giving you a guide of where you're going to stick your page 2, okay? That's where we're going to stick our page 2. Let me just trim that off. And that just leaves us that little bit. I've tried it all kinds of ways. I've tried a way where you leave a massive 1/2 inch gap. Didn't like it. I've tried it where you go right up to the signatures, right up to the fold. I don't like that. It makes the pages stiff. So I'm trying this, okay? We'll see how it works. Yeah? So here, my skinny. So this is quarter inch? It's very thin. I think it's quarter inch. And I know that it's super strong. I might even just add a thin bead of glue as well. I don't know yet. I don't always know, because when you see some of my videos, I haven't always finished my project. I'm like filming it as I'm doing it, because those that know me know I only ever make one of anything. So there's no trial runs. What you see is my real-time crafting. I don't make, very rarely make samples of things. I very rarely make one first to make sure it works. So that's why sometimes it don't work. But I show you what's and all. So I'm just going to give that another bit of a wiggle. Right, so we've got to try and get this on straight. So I'm just going to fold my wings a little bit, just to help give me a guide. Okay, and I can see my gussets there. Am I going to give myself a pencil mark? I think I'm going to give myself a little pencil mark down here. Just a little one, so that I can get this centralised. And let me just do it up there as well. So just here, just so I can, I'm just making my life a little bit easier. If it don't rub out, I'll cover over it with Sharpie. Okay, I'm not worried. Right, so now I'm going to remove this tape backing. Okay. But not on the wings. Not on the wings. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some glue on these first creases, which are going to go in the gussets. Okay. Because I want to... First of all, it's going to saturate the cardstock and just make it a little bit more pliable. I don't know if I'm making that up, but in my imagination, it works. Okay. Alright, a bit more on there. I've got a bit of wiggle room then, haven't I? Okay, just if you're adding glue, just be mindful you don't want it all splodging out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because I've used, this is a solvent-based glue, and I know that it doesn't dry super fast. If I used my Nouveau glue, this one, then by the time I've done messing about with it, that glue's going to be dry. This one won't be. I use Collall. It's very similar to Beacon 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac. Alright, so I'm going to add some glue here as well. I'm swirling it about to spread it out. I don't want so much that it's seeping. Okay. And then I've got my tape there. That's going to help hold it all in place whilst I burnish it into place. Right, so now I need to just take my time. Take a deep breath and take your time. Alright, worst case scenario, if you don't get it right, whip it off really quick and try again. So I can see my guideline there. It's about there. And just before I commit, I'm just making sure my spacing's right. I've got even top and bottom. I'm not even terribly worried if it's not perfect. Okay, let me just have a look before I commit. Is it straight? Just lift that up. Just lift them wings. Don't want them wings down yet. It's not bad. We'll have that. Okay. I'm not letting the wings sit yet. Okay. Not letting the wings sit yet, because I want to coax that paper into the gusset, and I'm using quite the wide end of a rounded bone folder. Okay, and I'm gently moulding that into the gusset. Okay, don't use something sharp, you'll rip your paper. Do it a little bit at a time. So now that bit can get pressed down because I've moulded into that gusset. Okay, and it's quite a deep gusset because we've left 1/4 of an inch. Okay, now I want to mould it a little bit further, so I'm going in with this, but I'm being careful not to use the sharp bit. I'm using the flat edge, because if I start going in with that sharp bit there, that will crack my paper. So I'm going in with the very flat edge and I'm moulding it to the shape of that gusset, which is 1/4 inch, so you've got quite a defined gusset. Okay, and then now I can press that, and because I've got the tape on the very edge, it will stay down without lifting, and it will carry on drying because I've got glue. So now I've got it stuck down, I can carry on moulding that. So I've just sped this part up. I'm just really working that cardstock into the gussets and really moulding it the best that I can. Okay, firm but gentle. Firm but gentle. I was a little bit rough with mine, and I did nearly go through in 2 areas. So, you know, and I make these all of the time, so just do be careful. Okay, work it a little bit at a time. Firm but gentle. It wins the race. Okay, that is how you get the lovely flexible binding there. It's right into the gusset. Okay, it's sitting right in and it's connecting. You can see it, there's no gaps. All right, and we've got our hinge. So I have split my own paper a right little bit there, and I've got a tiny dent there where I have pressed on a little bit too hard. So just be careful. Even I do it, but it's not going to be noticeable. It's not going to affect anything because we've got 2 layers of fabric tape. Okay, which if you get a little bit dusty, you can clean up with a baby wipe. We've got 2 layers of fabric tape, so it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, and that is down lovely and firm. Let's give this a bit more of a crease. Let me use this one to give that plenty of flexibility so that it moves. And I will be back in the next tutorial with some more. We will add our... Will we add our signatures? I'll do the holes for the signatures in the next video, and I don't know which part of the interaction we'll be working on, whether it'll be this component that's going in the middle or whether it'll be the covers. You'll have to come and watch and see. See you next time. Bye for now. Big love to you all.